I want to make a quick video talking about how I'm using scriptable objects in my game. It came up as a topic of conversation, and I thought people might be interested in how I'm using them. I'm not amazing or anything, I've just kind of used them in a certain way, and I thought people might find it interesting. So I use scriptable objects for a lot of things in my game. My abilities are scriptable objects, my encounters are scriptable objects, so those need work. Um, Go to enemies class. All of my player characters are skippable objects, and so are all my enemies. So anything that I'm going to have a good amount of, I try to make a scriptable object that represents them, and they are basically the data that drives whatever that uh, thing is. So my ability is what does the ability do? My monster is what does the monster do? And well, what does a monster do? Well, a monster has a name. A monster has some attributes. They have some UI icons, and they have some AI that tells you what they do on their turn. And we get to build. Here's a simpler one, so you know. This is just saying, hey, do you have a valid target? We have a bunch of different conditions we can choose from. So, what condition are we looking for? We're looking for if they have a better target. Do they have a target? And what are they looking for? Just a random player. We can do a different, all sorts of different types of targeting that they want to do with their ability. Then what ability are they going to use? And, what are the conditions? Here's one with a little bit more going on. So it's like, all right, do they have a valid target? And is that my HP below 90%? Then, well, if they're at full HP, that means their HP is not below 90%. So this will say false, and then we'll go down here and we'll say, oh, well, is my HP above 90%? Then I have something to do when I'm above 90%. Then we're just going to quickly take a look at the code associated with it. So this will start here on the combatant character. This is just kind of that basic information. This is shared with player character and monster character combatant. So that is kind of why this is the basic stuff that anyone who is in a battle needs to have that. Great. But then monsters need different things than players. My player character looks kind of like this, so they have abilities, but we're not going to get into that. But a monster character, what does monster have? Well, they have this monster AI. Here's some things that are just used in the AI rules. And then here we say, hey, go over to our combat manager, and it says start enemy turn. So there'll be some reason that every time a turn starts, it sends in the character data. And if it's a character's turn, it says, hey, is this character a monster? Then let's start the monster's turn. So on the monster, they say, all right, well, let's check. What does my AI say I should do? Just go check all the rules. And you can see how all of those rules are just a serialized class, C# class. And I can set up any sort of conditions. So here's the conditions that I have. Obviously, you can see status isn't implemented yet. And I'm sure I'll come up with more eventually. So that I can, make this more complex, more conditions, more things that can be determine how the player needs to interact or think about the enemy. And then, each of those, so this is what is the condition, and an AI rule, so that's the all right, what am I doing, is basically, hey, we have a list of conditions. Do all of these conditions work out? Can we use this ability? And then if not, it'll go down to the next AI rule on the list and say, hey, well, can we use this ability? And yeah, so that's kind of, it's not a ton of code, but it is something that lets me completely customize my enemy AI at pretty much any time. I can just say, oh, well, you know what? I want this monster to only use the black magic ability when their HP is above 50%. And if they're below, if they have a valid target and my HP is below 50%, then let's use the special ability instead. So easy as that, I can just add in a new AI to this enemy, update their AI, change their AI. And because it is a scriptable object, I can have that apply to obviously every version of the enemy that I have in the game. I don't have to go messing with prefabs or anything like that. It's just all in the scriptable object. And that's that. So, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions or if you thought anything was interesting.